Cool.
Is that getting in the way of the truck? Okay, it's fine.
Put the microphone. Oh, okay, yeah. I will put my microphone there.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you so much for coming last meeting. Is that right? No, thank you, please. Oh, let me introduce you to my family. Because, you know, gotta bring the family too, you know? So this is my mom, Hey, thanks for coming again. And name again? Ricardo, thank you so much for coming. This is my mom, Julia, and my son, my mom, my son. This is my wife, Madeline.
No pods.
Okay, thank you.
Over there.
So Marcus, I want you to stand back with us here. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Oh, is this a new letter?
Yeah.
Oh, brand new?
New
Okay.
strategy, new format.
Okay, awesome.
Jesse,
Okay.
Marcus,
I'm gonna-
the restrooms are on the first floor or second floor?
Oh, you know what? They are the second floor.
So there is an
Yeah,
elevator right there.
Mm-hmm.
To the right.
Straight. Yeah, more to the right.
To the
Yeah,
right,
more to the right,
and
elevator
then
up.
you'll see the elevator on your left, and on the second floor, the restroom.
Let's see, 352. Hey, how's it going? Hey, something is okay, right? Hey, it works with me. Let's see if I'm only I just got that. So late enough.
Take a pill.
Step back a little or try to. There's our poor commissioner.
Hi, darling. How are you?
Oh. I need that. Sorry, which mic? You. You want me to? Okay. So we just switch it over? Okay. Ooh. Yeah. It's gonna have to be a shade kind of thing. You guys have issues with that? Okay. It's better for the background? Oh, okay. Sounds good. Is that Jennifer? Hi, Jennifer. Where's my family? Can we introduce my family? Most family friendly today. Nice to meet you. Jennifer's my mom, Julia. And this is my wife and youngest son. They're in school. Oh yeah, yeah. The first meeting happening. So I got you. I felt shade. Sun should have did a shadow. There was Jones. Hey, Janice. You know my mom, right? Okay. Mom, is her friend Lupe? We're gonna have Janice speak. Oh, awesome.
So, Councilmember, question?
Yes, ma'am. Oh, Mike.
Yeah,
Oh, she needs to have first. The mic, since you're the first speaker.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to put it downwards or it looks better.
Oh, like,
So you want, however, like that. Yeah, that works.
thank you.
Over here?
Yes, I do. So Jeffrey, we have just, so after, the press conference, I want to make copies. So this is, I'm gonna read.
We will have to hear, after the two of you, the two speakers from the Coalition for Safe Environment will speak too.
Okay.
So if you want to introduce yourself.
So, Councilmember Bush, you want me to be like the MC?
Yes, please.
Okay, so in the order will be Councilmember Bush.
Yes, thank you.
Jesse Marquez.
And just your introduce.
Okay, and then Jesse. And then after them, I'll have Janice Nelson.
Mm-hmm.
Janice, you can speak. Yeah, and then waiting for Ronnie again. Ronnie will be yeah.
Jack is 7 minutes late. We should start and then we can introduce him.
Okay.
We want to include him too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to make copies for this.
That's okay.
So I brought everything.
Awesome.
But
Beautiful, beautiful.
can she stand here and then if he starts fussing, then she can step away?
Yeah.
Come on in.
But you can come in more,
Come in
yeah.
more, come in. We need to hear. We need to hear.
I think it has to be the glasses because the sun's so
Let's
bright.
see. Yeah.
Okay, Ronnie.
And this is Ronnie, huh?
Hey.
That's okay, finally. Yes, yes.
So you can put me last.
Okay, you don't care.
It's most important.
Yeah, I got you the last Fred in. I'll
Fred
speak up
in,
for
you
Ronnie.
women. See, I told you. She says, well, I'm not.
I didn't. I'm
No,
sorry.
you're a
I
citizen,
gotta
you're
like
important.
absorb my talking points and then
citizen.
because I get so nervous speaking in public. So in fact, let me get some water. Right.
And is that your water down there?
It is.
Oh,
Okay.
she brought it.
Can be. I
I
brought it
put,
for her.
I put it down in the back.
The waves at the beach
Yeah,
we
test
don't
one,
have
two, are you
access
wet?
to. Yes.
Test, yeah, test 1, 2, test 1, 2. Can you hear me?
Do you want to?
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. Okay.
Yeah, let's move in
Yeah,
a
let's
little
get
bit.
closer.
Let's bunch in a bit.
Benton.
Come on, a little closer, we don't bite.
I'll get up here.
That I know
Test 1, 2. Make sure they can hear you.
Test 1, 2, test 1, 2.
Turn off our phones.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, it's lower the.
Good idea. Thank you.
you sound like a lamb.
So
So
if
cute.
you want to let him down a little bit, Dave, or Brad. Yeah, come back and come back up.
it. Might be a speaker. In
Next port commissioner, Amar.
Oh.
All right. Okay, test 1, 2. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for gathering here today. My name is Sandy Naranjo. I stand before you as the first Latina Port Commissioner from National City and the first voice for environmental justice on the San Diego Port Commission. I have been committed to advocating tirelessly for the health and well-being of our community, which generates more revenue per capita than any other port city, yet suffers from the highest rates of cancer, asthma, and negative health effects due directly to the Port of San Diego. My efforts to ensure transparency and accountability at the port have been met with resistance and retaliation by insiders. After being totally and legally exonerated from a targeted and retaliatory investigation by the port's general counsel and outside counsel, I was censured and marginalized. The port tries to make this about me, but it's not. This is about the port's secrecy and backdoor dealings in violation of state laws. I just drew attention to it. The port's governance issues are profound. Port commissioners and staff operate in a culture of secrecy that rejects oversight and scrutiny. I am an accidental whistleblower who simply asked necessary questions and was punished for doing so. I cannot be silent as a fiduciary while witnessing gross malfeasance of a public agency I serve on. There is an urgent need for systemic reform at the Port of San Diego. The port has now threatened National City with litigation if I speak openly on agendized items concerning the port's retaliatory actions against me. This is wrong. Interfering with duly elected representatives of National City, threatening our city's ability to participate effectively in port business is an unacceptable bully tactic that demeans our community and the Port of San Diego itself. As come to light, the other city's commissioners, including Chair Frank Tassin from Coronado and Labor Council President Bridget Browning, who is under heavy scrutiny for racist and misogynistic remarks about Latina Supervisor Chair of the County Board of Supervisors Vargas, have been colluding to interfere with the city and port business by lobbying for my removal as a duly appointed commissioner. This conduct, planned and executed secretly, undermines our democratic process, violates the state laws, and insults all of us as citizens. Our community deserves better. We deserve a port that is not only responsive, but also responsible. A port that truly embodies the principles of good governance and operates transparently whether I remain a port commissioner or not. My commitment to fighting for a port that follows the law, honors its commitments, and operates with the highest standards of integrity remains steadfast. The county grand jury, the state legislature, LAFCO, and other oversight bodies have been scrutinized the Port of San Diego's conduct and are taking action. Today, I call upon those bodies and the State Lands Commission and the state's Attorney General's office to intensify their scrutiny on the port's practices. It is time for decisive actions to ensure that the governance of the port reflects the values and needs of today's California and San Diego. Thank you for standing with me today, for supporting the cause of public integrity in our institutions. Together, we will continue to fight for a port that prioritizes the people in the state of California and our portside communities over petty politics, secrecy, and retaliation. We demand better. And together, we will make that happen. For the next speaker, I'd like to introduce Councilmember Marcus Bush.
Thank you, Commissioner. I see we got some new media outlets, so we're going to give it time for them to set up, and we have another one of our speakers coming, so just let's put a pause for a couple seconds. And I hear the baby crying too. Let me try to adjust this up. Thank you. Hey, puppy. Just to left or right?
Yeah, twist this thing up, see, now,
Oh, thank you.
adjust it,
For
so
the
maybe,
media that
stand up
just
straight.
showed up right now,
There we go.
we will have the honorable
Thank you.
commissioner speak and
Justin,
say
Justin.
a few words at the end, so you can catch what she said earlier for your live version.
She can do it again. I can do it.
Got it?
She's good at it.
Councilmember, did you, we wait for you while you come up too? I think they're still set. I still want to give time for them to set up. Yeah. You guys got it?
Test 1, 2, 3. Give them test 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3.
All right, testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Everyone here okay?
Levels?
Awesome. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Oh, still setting up? Okay. Testing 1, 2, 3. Good? Everyone good? Okay. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I appreciate each and every one of you for coming out, for listening to our stories, a lot of them which have not been told. My name is Marcus Bush. National City is my home. I grew up here, went to Lincoln Acres Elementary, Granger, Sweetwater High School, class of 2006. I bought my first home here, raising my 3 kids here, and I'm proud to have my family up here with me. My mom, Julia, and my wife and my son, they're over there in the back. He's making some noise. And like all National City residents and families who were born after 1962, when the port was founded, I've never had access to our beach, to our waterfront. It's currently taken up by industrial port operations. And unlike the cities of San Diego, Coronado, Imperial Beach, Chula Vista, they have beach access. They have much more public access. But I have to be real, my family is lucky. We grew up on the east side of National City, farther from all the industrial port operations, the pollution, the emissions, unlike our brothers, sisters, and siblings on the west side of National City, also known as Old Town National City, OTNC. They've been literally poisoned, suffering from the highest rates of asthma and cancer as a result of air pollution and direct impact from not just the freeway, but from port operations. These are actual lives that we're talking about, people that we know. National City's port tidelands, as our commissioner mentioned, they generate more revenue per capita than any other city in the port. So the port makes the most money off of us, and we're left with all the traffic, the pollution, all the health issues. So please ask yourselves, is that fair? National City is also 90% people of color, and on the west side, they're predominantly, the vast majority are Latino. So ask yourselves another question. Is it a coincidence that the most diverse city in the port with working class families gets the worst impacts and the least park and recreation space? I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that's environmental racism. And that's what our port commissioner has been calling out. And I thank you for calling it out and calling it plain and calling it like it is. That's what our commissioner has been fighting. Sandy has done a phenomenal job representing National City, engaging the community to workshops, reporting to our city council at every meeting, being very diligent, not like the rest of the commissioners, and bringing her labor and environmental justice backgrounds to the port. So, but at the end of the day, this fight isn't about Sandy. It's about what she's been fighting for. She's being removed for challenging the status quo in the system. She's being removed for asking tough questions. She's being removed in direct retaliation for her recent support of port reform that's been sponsored by our Assembly member, David Alvarez, AB 2783. And by the way, and Assembly member Alvarez grew up in Barrio Logan, also facing the same issues and have the same challenges with the port. The reason, but let me tell you guys this, the reason why National City gets the lease is because our city leadership has failed to defend our city and failed to fight for our community. Instead of standing up to the port's bullying, Mayor Ron Morrison is caving into their demands and is selling out our port commissioner. Now look, I do respect Mayor Ron Morrison as an individual and as a person, but what I do not respect is his current approach on this port issue. When I asked Ron to place the port reform bill, AB 2783, on the agenda, he indicated to me, and this was back in March, he indicated to me that he would, and he did it. He opposed a few weeks ago when I brought up having LAFCO, San Diego LAFCO. They would just bring information to our city council and information on how we can get our fair share of public safety dollars for our National City Police and Fire. He refused that. These are items that the port has also opposed, and now he's siding with them on removing our port commissioner. It is not National City residents who are calling on our port commissioner to resign. It's the port. So, Mayor, you have to decide. Are you the mayor of the port, or are you the mayor of National City? While I welcome this debate and discussion tonight, I call on all of my colleagues to fight for National City and not cave into political or legal threats from the port. I respect my colleagues and their opinions and decisions too. So if they, or even myself, do decide to remove Sandy, we need to make sure that we're justifying our decisions. If she did something wrong, what is it exactly? Because if we remove without cause or thorough discussion, it exposes our city to not just legal risk, but it also hampers our next port commissioner. Will our next port commissioner, that we will have another port commissioner, no matter what in the future, whether it's a few weeks from now or years from now, we're always going to have a port commissioner. Will that next port commissioner be allowed to fight for National City and make sure we're getting our fair share? Or will they be thrown out whenever the port decides that they're asking too many questions or in retaliation for National City? So no matter what happens though, Sandy, Commissioner Naranjo, you have already won. You've brought accountability and transparency to the port. You've shed light on their activities, and you've taught me so much that I didn't know and understand, so much that the public doesn't understand about how the port operates internally, because it's made that way by design. Now, the entire state is watching in a way they've never done before. Change is coming to the port. Another world is not only possible, she's on her way. Thank you, Commissioner.
Well said.
Oh,
Second.
Oh,
For the benefit of the late comments. And then you can introduce. There we go.
I'll introduce.
We'll come for it.
Okay. Thank you, Councilmember Bush. I would like to introduce our next speaker. Our next speaker is current La Mesa City Council member Jack Shu. He's also the chair of the San Diego Air Pollution Control District. It is very critical that we have another city, not a member of the Portside community, because the port has a regional and state impact. And so it is my pleasure to welcome Council member and chair of the San Diego Air Board, Jack Shu.
Thank you, Sandy. And I am Jack Shu, a council member from the city of La Mesa. I also chair the Air Pollution Control District. So I'm here really as more like a private citizen that may know a little bit about clean air. I have a button on me that says, I love clean air. And anyone doesn't love clean air? Well, unfortunately, the city of National City and other portside communities have not gotten their fair of clean air. They have some of the worst air in the state. And it's because of a lot of different reasons. One of them is because of the activities on Port Commission's properties. The warehouses, the fishing stations, the airport, the boats, that produces some of the worst air in the state. And that's been going on for decades. And I want to bring up one document that came out a few years ago, the Maritime Clean Air Strategy, sometimes called the MCAST. That has a document that has specific goals. It's a document that community people were involved in, the Air Pollution Control District was involved in, and the Port District. It has specific goals for 2026 and 2030 to reduce air pollution. This is a very important document. It involves people from our community. It was worked with other experts, and these are attainable goals. Unfortunately, the Port District calls these aspirational goals. Now, those of you who may be in the community and politics long enough knows what that means. Aspirational means it's not on their list to do. That has to change. How many more decades will the people in National City and other portside communities suffer from bad air? They have a responsibility, a duty to move forward and put a substantial amount of their money towards that. We're not going to wait until 2030 and say, well, we didn't make those goals. That has to stop. The work at the Port Commission has not done. We need leaders like Sandy to continue to serve on that and bring these facts to light, not shortchange our communities, hold the port accountable, speak the truth, don't let money and power overtake the rights of our citizens. The clean air rights of our citizens. Clean air is a right to all of us, and we cannot let profits be over people.
Yeah.
So please, let's support our commissioners and staff that speak the truth and want cleaner air for all San Diegans. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Council Member. As mentioned, the Port of San Diego has a regional impact and a state impact, and it is my pleasure to introduce honorable guests from the Los Angeles area who are very active with the Port of LA. Because there's a saying, when you see one port, you see one port. But the truth of the matter is, all ports are connected. And so for that, I introduce you, Jesse Marquez.
Hello, thank you, Sandy, for this opportunity to speak on your behalf, to also represent the public's best interest. I founded our organization. It is a nonprofit environmental justice organization in April of 2001. In the community of Wilmington. Wilmington is a community in the harbor in the city of Los Angeles. The Port of Los Angeles is physically located in Wilmington and in San Pedro. Our neighbor to the south of us is the Port of Long Beach. So we have the #1 largest container port, the #2 largest container port in the nation here. We are now 23 years old, and over these 23 years, we have grown from zero knowledge about ports and operations, goods movement, freight transportation, and air pollution. But we recognized at the beginning, since many of us were community activists, that we needed to learn. So we started studying the rules, the laws, the regulations. We started networking with other environmental justice organizations, community-based organizations, public health organizations, to have a better understanding of the impacts of ports in our community. Then we had a beautiful thing happen to us in 2001. Professor Andrea Rico at the USC Keck School of Medicine contacted me and others that they had received funding in order to create a center to share public health information studies done by universities and colleges. And over the years of learning about this, we began to recognize we were also a victim of environmental racism because Wilmington is a 90% Latino community. We were always told that the Port of LA was an economic engine, created tens of thousands of jobs that benefits the city, the county, and the whole region. But we certainly learned a few things that were different. San Pedro homeowners and homeowner associations sued the Port of LA over the China shipping terminal. Well, the Port of LA lost. The city of LA lost. Now, why did they lose a court case? Because they were so arrogant that they violated the law. We're talking about the basic environmental law, the California Environmental Quality Act. They were so arrogant that they didn't even prepare an environmental impact report. They claimed that 2 previous documents allowed them to do anything that they wanted, but they lost in court. And that began a chain reaction of how do we mitigate those impacts. So the China shipping terminal became the first all-electric shore power terminal. Ships coming into there had to plug in. We won on that. That's one of our settlements. $10 million was granted to San Pedro and to the Wilmington community to mitigate some of the impacts. We approved a $3.1 million Wilmington youth sailing program, to give an example. Since that time, Port of LA lost another huge one not 2 years ago. The Port of LA with BNSF Railroad, because together they impacted our community. And then we had a pre-court settlement. So why am I here today? We have become a leader, a community leader organization, that we are experts on ports operations, ports requirements to comply with various laws, rules, and regulations. We learned about the freight transportation industry. But then, when we were contacted, we did not know Commissioner Naranjo. It was other organizations saying there's something going on in San Diego that we need your help, because the legal counsel, Thomas Russell for the Port of San Diego, was the ex-legal counsel for the Port of Los Angeles. And at that time, we had challenged and we were inquiring, investigating conflicts of interest, conflicts of ethics in his working with other companies. And one of those companies was by a former president of the Harbor Commissioner in Los Angeles, a former commissioner. And by law, you're prohibited from getting involved in businesses, creating a new business that's going to conflict with your policy decision-making that you made earlier, which he did. So now, when it comes down to it, we have prepared a public comment. We also submitted several public comments in the past to the Port of Harbor Commissioners and to various cities that are all part of the Unified District. And I want to share some of those points because, see, what I ask you, and I want to give you, read our points, and you can validate every one of our issues and accusations and our allegations and our suspected details. And you will discover everyone is valid. And we have submitted these public comments to the ports, to all cities involved in the ports, and they have ignored what we have submitted. But you as media have a social responsibility to the public. And that is to report the facts and the news. And that's why when we show up, we bring you the facts and the news. So for example, Commissioner Naranjo has acted properly in her public fiduciary responsibilities to represent National City. She is engaged in proper professional participation and public oversight over the Port of San Diego. She has acted in professional participation and public oversight over the Board of Commissioners. She has proper participation and public oversight for compliance with the state's Lands Commission public trust document. And for those of you in the media, I have brought copies of the public trust document because you almost never hear that ever mentioned, but that is part of the regulations. I also have a copy of the trust agreement with the Port of San Diego with the State Lands Commission so you can see what those requirements are because the ports have been violating them. She's also engaged in proper professional participation in public oversight for compliance with all applicable state and federal laws, statutes, rules, regulations, requirements, and programs. And we detail this. The San Diego Unified Port District has provided no validated evidence of any wrongdoing by Commissioner Sandy Naranjo. The Port of San Diego Board of Port Commissioners have no evidence of any wrongdoing. The Port of Commissioners have violated the California Brown Act and the Bagley-Keene Act, which is described in detail. Even the National City Council has no evidence of any wrongdoing. So again, I ask you, and I plead with you, do the right thing, do your proper investigating reporting, because you'll see by reviewing our documentation and other public comments that the laws are not being followed. The right to discuss and to investigate issues of concern because of their fiduciary responsibility and their due diligence responsibilities need to be investigated. And we have a community champion right here who does represent her city and the public's best interests. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse Marquez. For the next speaker, I'd like to call on a special guest from the Los Angeles area. I am just very grateful to have these activists from the Los Angeles area because it is important that we all communicate with each other to make sure all of our ports are responsible and accountable to the public. And so with that, I'd like to introduce Ricky Peludo.
Thank you. All right, good afternoon, everybody. And, you know, only my mom ever calls me Ricky, so I'll take that as a little thank you from this Honorable Commissioner Sandy and all of our team here, our council people, and to the great city of San Diego and here in the South Coast area. We are blessed with a beautiful day, but it's a sad day for today for the city council meeting that we're going to be involved in. We, on behalf of CFASE Coalition for Safe Environment, like my chairman my executive director, Jesse Marquez, says, I'm Ricardo Polito. I'm the chairman of the board, environmentalist all my life. And the travesties that we've been through and the storms and fights that we've been through are just unbelievable. But this is a heavy one that we came in person for and we believe in because this is my sisters and brothers in the EJ, environmental justice wars that we have with corporations, with people that are sellouts, vendidos, elected officials that don't know who they represent. It's shame on them. Shame on your city council for letting this even get this far. In 5 cities that are involved, this is a travesty, especially this honorable lady who's trying to work and be the voice for the community. That's all she's doing. Her due process has been violated. Her civil rights have been violated. Her good standing as a person they're trying to flaw and ruin her reputation as a woman, as a Latina person of color, just as a human beings. So we're here to attest, and we have the facts and figures, like Jesse said earlier, and like some of my council persons said earlier. We're not going to put up with it. We're here to stand up and resolve and say, enough is enough, ya basta. City council today, if they don't do the right thing, which we think they already sold out, they're already going to probably dismiss or let our good commissioner go. But you know what? That's just the beginning. The state bar is going to be involved with this because, as you heard earlier, the attorneys are in cahoots, there's collusion going on, there's corruption going on, and there's a lot of under the table going on. Just like that I don't even want to say his name, character was down in San Pedro. You see all the havoc. Look up his name and look up what he's done over there. That's why he left, because he was about ready to go to jail. And this other person with him, two of a kind. They're both in cahoots of hurting your community, making money for their pockets, stealing information and proprietary utilizing for their own benefits. And we've had enough of it up there. Now we're not going to let it happen to your great city over here. We as a community will stand strong, and we will call the State Bar Association and make sure the unethical practices that they have been doing and utilizing for the last years here that they've been serving will be brought up into the light. We as a community will stand strong. All these mothers and these daughters and their children that are here, that's what we're here about. We're the voice. We're the voice. And by that I mean, we strong advocates. Everything we do our due diligence. We do bring facts and figures more than anything else. We care for this beautiful honorable commissioner, what she stands for and she's doing, and we believe that justice will be served and will prevail at the end. But we need all of you, social and media outlets, to get the word out there, because the fight has only begun. The struggle is always in vain. But guess what? Si se puede, adelante, en que viva our Commissioner Sandy. We are here together forever and ever. God bless you all, and remember, si se puede, that means we stand together. Together we will, and together we will thrive. Amen.
Thank you. Yeah, I will. Yeah, thank you. And thank you. And I want to add a comment that the Port of LA, just like the Port of San Diego, the Port of San Diego has had 3 grand jury reports. The Port of LA has had numerous audits by their LA City Controller in regards to how the operations run at the Port of LA. And what was interesting in one of them, the LA City Controller stated that the Port of LA acts like there's a back room with no board, and that's how they operate. And we see a similarity with the Port of LA and the Port of San Diego. And so for those of the media that just arrived that missed my opening, I will do my opening again. So here's my opening. Good afternoon. Thank you for gathering here today. My name is Sandy Naranjo. I stand before you as the first Latina Port Commissioner from National City and the first voice for environmental justice on the San Diego Port Commission. I have been committed to advocating tirelessly for the health and welfare of our community, which generates more revenue per capita than any other port city, yet suffers from the highest rates of cancer, asthma, and negative health effects due directly to the Port of San Diego. My efforts to ensure transparency and accountability at the port have been met with resistance and retaliation by insiders. After being totally and legally exonerated, which I do have a copy of the analysis that exonerates me, from a targeted and retaliatory investigation by the port's general counsel and outside counsel, I was censured and marginalized. The port tries to make this about me, but it's not. This is about the port's secrecy and backdoor dealings in violation of state laws. I just drew attention to it. The port's governance issues are profound. Port commissioners and staff operate in a culture of secrecy that rejects oversight and scrutiny. I am an accidental whistleblower who simply asked necessary questions and was punished for doing so. I cannot be silent as a fiduciary while witnessing gross malfeasance of a public agency I serve on. There is an urgent need for systemic reform at the Port of San Diego. The port has now threatened the city of National City with litigation if I speak openly on agendized items concerning the port's retaliatory actions against me. This is wrong. Interfering with duly elected representatives of National City, threatening our city's ability to participate effectively in port business is an unacceptable bully tactic that demeans our community and the Port of San Diego itself. has come to light that other cities commissioners, including Chair Frank Ortasin from Coronado and Labor Council President Bridget Browning, who was under heavy scrutiny for racist and misogynistic remarks about Latina supervisor chair of the County Board of Supervisors, Vargas, have been colluding to interfere with city and port business by lobbying for my removal as a duly appointed commissioner. This conduct, planned and executed secretly, undermines our democratic process, violates the state laws, and insults all of us as citizens. Our community deserves better. We deserve a port that is not only responsive, but also responsible. A port that truly embodies the principles of good governance and operates transparently. Whether I remain a port commissioner or not, my commitment to fighting for a port that follows the law, honors its commitments, and operates with the highest standards of integrity remains steadfast. The county grand jury, the state legislature, LAFCO, and other oversight bodies have been scrutinizing the Port of San Diego's conduct and are taking action. Today, I call upon those bodies and the State Lands Commission and the State's Attorney General's Office to intensify their scrutiny of the port's practices. It is time for decisive actions to ensure that the governance of the port reflects the values and needs of today's California and San Diego. Thank you for standing with me today, for supporting the cause of public integrity in our institutions. Together, we will continue to fight for a port that prioritizes the people of the state of California and our portside communities over petty politics, secrecy, and retaliation. We demand better. And as mentioned about the audit about the Port of LA from the LA City Controller, about how the port operates with no board in the back room, and talking about how bully tactics can enter, I want to bring up community activist Ronnie Luna, who is supportive of transparency and democracy, and I want her to share her perspectives. Ronnie?
Hi, good afternoon. Me llamo Veronica Luna, and as a Mexicana that spent a great portion of my young life in National City, I urge our city to take action and hold our people in power accountable to their actions. I can honestly say that I was disgusted and appalled at Bridget Browning's comments of no mames and using of the term chingona to mock one of my people. As someone who has had her fair run-ins with the union boss, I urge members of the union to wake up as well, ask questions and pay attention to meeting minutes. Don't let them try to silence you as I was. It doesn't surprise me that Bridget learned our language. She picked a strong people, like our gente, our Mexicanos, that strong people that she knows was helping to represent her and fight along her in all the union struggles. That's why I am here as someone who has been on the receiving end of her bully tactics. I urge our people in power to as well look into union contracts, and not just the template-like contracts made for hotel and food and beverage employees, but also the contracts that are worded to benefit union bosses. I urge you to look at the timeframes employees must work in the union in order for a contract to include and protect a union worker. Like I said, I just wanted to thank you guys for your time. I really appreciate it. And I just want a lot of transparency. There has been a lack of transparency in a lot of the items that I mentioned. Please, let's hold our people accountable, the people in power, which are the ones that have these opportunities to take advantage of items that are, not being talked about, or that are like, just brushed under the counter, or it's, water under a bridge. Like, let's just bring that to light, guys, and make something positive, an outcome of that. And, like I said, I'm very about the 3 Ps. It's pude, puedo, y podré. So let's just have our people just continue that fight, the good fight. Gracias.
Thank you so much. And for our final speaker, it is my honor to introduce, she is one of my sheroes. This woman I've known, I've worked for over 7 years doing grassroots organizing for the people, doing the work that nobody wants to do. Janice Reynoso, you will see her on the front lines when anyone's suffering, especially with the floods that just happened. She's there providing vouchers for folks that lost their homes due to the floods, and not only shelter, but food. This woman's heart is in the community of National City. So it is my honor to present our next speaker, our final speaker, Janice Luna Reynoso.
Muchas gracias. Buenas tardes. Good afternoon. Hauka. Thank you, Sandy, for that credit. I cannot take credit for the flood relief response. It's been a collaborative effort. We have been this much part of it, and it's been the community and our other community-based organizations in National City and Southeast San Diego especially. Thank you so much. I'm sitting here thinking of the injustices and the fear of speaking up for what the community needs, what the community doesn't need, doesn't want to see. And you can change the name. Like Commissioner Naranjo said, and as we all have commented, it's not about her, it's about this repeating itself throughout history. It's repeating itself whether we're talking about the port and whether we're talking about issues globally, especially in these times, is that people that speak up for justice, for human rights, for health, for the land, for disenfranchised people are being punished. And people that are creating harm, that are making profit, that are putting profit over people historically and especially now in these times, they're being rewarded. It is being overlooked. And so I'm sitting here with a deep concern because it's not the first time in our community that when someone speaks up for social justice, whether it's for green space, for clean air, for the basic human needs, for housing, for food, that if it's not on the agenda and it's not convenient or it's not the idea of someone in power, well, they will get credit for it, then it can become an issue of retaliation, an issue that if you speak up, the initiative and the project will be swept up from under you and everyone else is gonna pay for it. It will be that if you have a representative that actually represents the people, they will be removed in order to punish not just that person, but who's gonna suffer? If Commissioner Naranjo is not in this position any longer, we're the ones that are gonna have to be dealing with the asthma rates. We're gonna have to be dealing with the lack of capacity to provide the basic needs in our communities. And we're seeing this here in National City and in our sister communities. We're no strangers to knowing, and if we don't know, we see the impacts of having the most polluted air in the state. What I have seen and witnessed recently is state and federal governments admitting, apologizing, and now investing tens of millions of dollars in our community because their understanding of their participation in historical and current environmental racism. There's people in power there, very similar to Commissioner Naranjo, that are speaking up because they grew up in these communities disenfranchised and now they're there to make a difference. I applaud their boldness and that they're not being retaliated against for speaking out. And so I'm wondering here if, like Ms. Luna and Commissioner Naranjo, if there will be retaliation for speaking up in support of justice. You can change the port, you can change the different agency. When people speak up, there shouldn't be punitive actions towards them. We want to encourage everyone to continue to understand that these are the leaders that we want to follow. These are the role models that we want for our children and our grandchildren. And most importantly, if we're looking at it as far as what's in it for me, we don't want to leave a mess for our children, the council members' children, for all of the leaders and all of the residents here, something for them to clean up. I also want to acknowledge Commissioner Naranjo's communication and involvement with the indigenous communities. She's been one of the port leaders and leaders in the city to build those relationships, to really acknowledge the Kumeyaay waters, the Kumeyaay land, in order to bring them into the conversation. When we bring up this topic and we support it, talking about our indigenous brothers and sisters, we're very grateful to have that representation for Kumeyaay leadership. It's very much ignored because those are the folks that deserve first and foremost access to the waterfront like all of us do here in National City. And we want to make sure to understand that this issue, though it may be in National City, those of you that are watching, it will come to your city. It first impacts communities of color. It first impacts frontline communities. It first impacts those that are disenfranchised locally and globally. So please support what is going on. We're only asking for the basic human needs, and we're asking for anyone that's on the Port Commission that is able to speak up for us, to make those decisions that are going to create a better quality of life, to hold people and themselves accountable. We want to defend them, all of them, whether it's Commissioner Naranjo or anyone else who is bold enough, who is humanitarian enough to do the right thing. And I want to encourage our leaders, our grassroots leaders, our mamas, our abuelitas, to please feel proud to be able to champion this new change. We shouldn't feel scared. We should see our city council members, our governmental leaders excited to be a part of this. You're going to be the ones to create change. You're going to be the MLKs, the Cesar Chavez, the people that are actually doing something good. Those are the people that we applaud, that we want to support. And yes, they were mistreated, retaliated against. And we don't want to continue that norm. And for now, I just leave you with a heartfelt thank you to Commissioner Naranjo, to our council members, all of you, and those that are they're struggling with their own moral compass. I want to, put out a heartfelt prayers up for all of you so that you continue to do the right thing. And if you're not doing the right thing now, get ready to. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to say, again, my gratitude to each individual that spoke today. I want to make it clear, this is completely grassroots, and we're going against an agency that has $300 million, a full-on marketing department, and also contracts for PR consultants. So I'm pretty sure they're going to have something very savvy to respond to you with legal check. So I just want to thank each individual who came here today to speak on their hearts, to speak about truth and justice. And so with that, we conclude the press conference. Individually, I actually will do one-on-one. So I will do individuals. So please feel free to individually ask us questions. Thank you.
Everybody, solidarity? You raise your hands. Sí se puede. Adelante.
Adelante.
Sí se puede. Sí se puede. Sí se puede. Sí se puede. Adelante. Aquí con la Commissioner Sandy. Ahí vamos.
Okay. Yes, my fight from here goes on to continue my communications with state legislators and specifically with the Lieutenant Governor. I've already spoken to Lieutenant Governor. The Lieutenant Governor oversees the State Lands Commission. The State Lands Commission oversees the Port Authority. She's already aware and alert about what's going on down here, was aware that the city will be docketing my removal today. She's very concerned, and she's going to have her staff look into this. So I will continue to talk to every single regulatory agency to discuss all the issues that have been going on in the Port District and all communications between the Port and the City of National City. I'm sorry, what's the question? Yes. Yeah. Yeah, so Laura Wilkinson here, she is the contact on the media advisory. She will put together a Google Drive, and
We'll have all the documents.
and then we'll have all the documents, and this would also include the documents that will put on the record, which is the legal memo that actually exonerates me because I was accused of pay to play. I will also include my remarks I'll be making at the council hearing today. Also, it also includes my statement that I provided to the investigators, which, by the way, was a very one-sided investigation, cost about $155,000. Again, $155,000 of public money. So public money to tarnish my reputation. And this is the report I have provided to the investigator that they did not investigate. It also includes a letter from my ex-husband who could not attend the censure hearing, but he had provided a letter to Corey Briggs, the attorney that's been representing me. The letter states fact that he was at an event at a party, a vacation home that his brother owns in Grass Valley. The assistant general counsel to Tom Russell, her name is Rebecca Harrington, was at the party, was intoxicated, and violated confidentiality by disclosing that the port commissioners hate me, that port staff hate me, and that I am going down. She was the one overseeing this one-sided investigation. It would also include, this will include a contract of Janice Brown. Tom Russell claims that he's a victim of retaliation, but he was the one that hired the attorney, the initial attorney, to investigate me. There's a section here that says conflicts of interest. Conflict was identified and he waived it. By the way, this was an investigation on one of his bosses. The commission, the 7 commissioners, oversee the port attorney, oversee the CEO, oversee the auditor. So he had hired the attorney to investigate for his claim, not the commissioners, and this is proof with him signing the contract and dates. I would also provide a letter sent by the FPPC that was sent to Rafael Castellanos as he was chairman at the time of the board, seeking advice about getting the role of CEO while the CEO was on leave. This letter, just for note on timeline, was provided a week before they went into closed session, which Rebecca Harrington said I could not participate on the discussion of the report, which, by the way, I did not have access to the reports, and they had discussed the report, and they had decided at that Wednesday closed session that they were going to censure me, but decided to make it public with a less than 24-hour notice. I was notified less than 24-hour notice that I will be censured. So that will be provided as well. And also provided, this is the Port District Clerk's copy of all comments. See the thickness comments that came from community demanding the port to respond to the censure, to the investigation, to look into the questions of conflict of interest, which have gone on deaf ears. So there's been record, and that will all be provided. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, no, I'm going to hold them because I'm going to make a copy to the district. There we go. Ethics Commission. And what's interesting is that Assemblymember David Alvarez introduced a bill in response to the grand jury, in response to, hey, what is this departure of the CEO in this FPPC letter, the censure of a commissioner, all these questions. So he drafted this bill to create more transparency and accountability. And part of the bill, it talks about creating an independent ethics commission. And independent ethics commission will address a lot of these issues. So that would be a way to talk about, appeal this.
At this point, there's no, you have none of that.
No,
We
it
got a
happened.
couple other folks that
Okay,
want. Thank
gotcha.
you.
Oh,
sir.
yeah,
Thank
and
you.
then, yeah, he wants to
And
do
you'll be-
live.
What time's this meeting start?
It's 6.
6.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
and
Okay.
then,
Yeah, it's gonna be
yeah,
live.
and I'm
We'll be
gonna do,
here.
yeah, so
Okay.
he'll be here, so yeah, I'll do,
Who you with?
Which channel?
I'm gonna do live with him and then I'll get, do,
Right there is
yeah.
perfect.
A couple other questions behind you.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna do with him because he's live.
Just take one step back from me.
Yeah,
You're good right there, and you're on camera, ready to go.
yeah. All right, you can see me? Okay, perfect. All right, so I'm ready for any questions you have.
That's saying,
yeah.
to anyone in National City,
Oh,
anything
okay,
you want to
yeah.
tell them, there's no question, make it real, just
Yeah.
quick for you. If there was something that you want to let them know about tonight, for tonight, to support you or whatever, the website, things like that, so people can find out more information.
Yeah, thank you so much. And so what I just want to say to, not just to the city of National City, residents of National City, but to residents around the San Diego region and statewide, questions are not accusations. Everyone has the right to ask questions. No agency has the right to attack those who ask questions. Exhibit 1, me. All I did was ask questions. I was concerned about a $4.9 million contract that we awarded. Again, $4.9 million of state tax money that came from the gas tax, to a company. And the CEO of that company has a record online of being accused of fraud, embezzlement, there's lawsuits. And so I just wanted to ask questions about that. And so this is what happened. I asked those questions in December. January, Tom Russell hires an attorney to do a political hit job. Exhibit number 2, asking questions. My attorney, Corey Briggs, he appeared at the center hearing, made remarks, provided his perspective. He shared my ex-husband's letter for the record because my ex-husband could not attend. So he read the letter that my ex-husband wrote and signed and date. My attorney gets attacked by the port. They go after him and accuse him of harassing a port employee. Again, my attorney has never worked for the port, does not do any contracting for the port, but is accused essentially of workplace harassment. So it's interesting when we're asking questions about transparency, accountability, sharing our perspectives with public agency, the port has been weaponizing workplace harassment to divert the question, to not answer the question. And so what I want folks to know is to keep asking the questions. And all it has to be is why. Why does the port not respond to us? Why does the port feel like the need to move money in certain operations? Why does the port, award multi-million dollars without disclosing full material fact? Why? And the public should not be patronized to ask questions. You can look at past port board meetings. And what is so unfortunate is that it's not just me that asks questions on the dais because I've been attacked. For example, in February of this year, I had asked on the dais, on public, why are we allocating $450,000 for unspecified legal fees? Where is this money going? Why do we need that much money for lawyers? Instead of answering the question, the attorney, Tom Russell, accuses me of being biased and prejudiced against the Office of General Counsel. There's been other public commenters that have asked questions about, why this, why that, and then you'll hear, my colleagues or staff patronize that person for asking the question. Oh, it's because you don't know. Well, of course, not anyone knows everything. That's why you have experts, right? But it's okay for folks to ask questions. So every public agency should look at the port and make sure that they're not doing what they're doing, that they need to embrace different perspectives. They need to be ready to ask questions and not feel attacked by questions. We have to be the person above it all. And so what I hope that after this vote tonight, because it's very clear that this vote is going to go where it's going to go, to me, because I have been asked to resign. I've been asked to resign because there's been pressure that National City cannot get what it wants from the port because of me. Again, going back to me and not going back to the issue. So that is not right. And so I hope that for National City, for Chula Vista, for Imperial Beach, Coronado, City of San Diego, and for all residents in the San Diego County and the state of California, ask questions. It's our lands. It's revenue, $300 million of revenue generated on our public lands. We demand transparency and answers. And so that's what I end. It's just that keep asking questions and keep holding all agencies, no matter what level they are, accountable.
Do you have a social media? How do people find you?
Yes, and so I do have Facebook, I do have Twitter, and so, or X. And so you can follow me on Facebook. I have Port Commissioner Sandy Naranjo. It's my Facebook page. And then my X account is Port Sandy N. I can't remember it. You can tell that I'm so much on it, but I do have social media. So yeah.
That's good. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. Okay. Thanks for joining in. This is National City Live Data. We also have Chula Vista Live Data, but we're in National City today. So thank you all for joining in. And we'll stay rolling for a couple of minutes. I gotta get things going for the meeting that starts right now. But we'll be right back with you. Thank you.